Today's recipe is French toast sticks. For this recipe, let's go ahead and look at the equipment that we are going to use if we are the assistant cook. Today you're going to need your tray underneath your sink. You are going to need 3 custard cups. You're going to need measuring spoons, your small liquid measuring cup, and your half cup dry. I'm going to use this one. You can use the blue set or you may use the metal set. When the assistant cook goes over to the demo table, they're going to set their tray down and they're going to get the following. They're going to need 2 eggs and they are going to go into one of our custard cups. Next, we're going to need a half cup of powdered sugar. Okay, now powdered sugar, remember, is like flour, so we are going to need to spoon it. And I'm going to level it with the back side of my knife. So you're going to take the knife, drive it across the back, and you're going to leave the powdered sugar in the measuring cup. Okay, the next thing that we're going to need is a 1/4 cup of milk, and I'm using whole milk. And the first thing you want to do is locate the measurement on the liquid measuring cup. So again, it's 1/4, which is a 1/4. It is the very first line on your measuring cup. You're going to, again, make sure to set it on a flat surface, and you're going to bend down and get the measurement at eye level. Okay, so there we have our 1/4 cup of milk. That is going to stay in the glass measuring cup, the liquid measuring cup. Next, we're going to need 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. Okay, now this is real maple syrup. It can be a little bit expensive at the grocery store, but the flavor is really good and what makes a difference and what actually adds flavor in this recipe. Okay, so tablespoon. Locate on your measuring spoons the one that has the 1 with a capital T, B, S, P. Okay, and we're going to need 2 of them, and I'm going to put them into their own custard cup. And again, remember, we don't want to measure over the custard cup. We don't necessarily want to measure over the tray. We can measure over the demo table. That way, if we spill, we can wipe it up. And you're going to measure all the way to the top till the bubble forms. And that is our first tablespoon of maple syrup. If you don't have real maple syrup and you want to make this at home, you can use a maple syrup flavored, like Butterworth, or there is the log cabin version as well. Okay, so that is our maple syrup. The next thing we're going to need is a teaspoon of brown sugar. I have the maple syrup in here a minute, so I'm just going to rinse. When you are measuring, I will have a towel at the demo table for you to wipe it off. And then I'm going to need a teaspoon. So this time you're going to look for the measuring spoon that is a T, a lowercase t, S, P. Okay, and remember, with measuring spoons, you can pack them in as well, like you do with a measuring cup. And again, I'm going to take the back side of my knife or spatula and drag it across. And this is going to go into the 3rd custard cup. Okay, then the last ingredient that I'm going to get before I get my bread is the cinnamon. Cinnamon is also going to add flavor to our French toast sticks. This one is calling for 1/4 of a teaspoon. And so that is going to be a 1/4 followed by TSP. And for spices, remember when we open up the container, there is a flat opening here that you're going to drag the measuring spoon through. And as you do that, it levels off the measuring spoon. And this is going to go into the same custard cup with the brown sugar. Right, and our very last ingredient is going to be bread. And if you are a 4-person kitchen, you are going to get 8 slices of bread. If you are a 5-person kitchen, you are going to get 10 slices of bread. You're also going to get your knife that is up there, okay? And this is going to go on our tray, and you're going to take it back to your kitchen for the cook to take over. Okay? All right. So now as the cook, we're going to go ahead and review the equipment that we need as the cook to prepare this ingredients and the French toast, not ingredients, the French toast. Okay, so we're going to need a small mixing bowl. We're going to need a wire whisk. We're going to need our knife, which our assistant cook is going to bring back to the kitchen for us. You're going to need a skillet. We're going to need a turner or a pair of tongs for flipping. Okay, and we are also going to be using our cutting board. Remember, your cutting board is underneath the countertop. You're going to retrieve it from the entire countertop, and you're going to be bringing it over to your counter for cutting and slicing the bread. All right, so looking at our directions, the first direction tells us to crack the eggs into the small mixing bowl. Okay, and to crack our eggs, I learned this recently from my husband, who is an expert at eggs. If you want to crack the egg, instead of going on the side, which kind of causes everything to cave in and split apart, if you take it and you tap it on the flat surface, you get a little bit, but it stays together and cracks open, and then you can separate. And then you are less likely to get the shell because it adheres to the membrane on the inside of the egg. Okay, so there we go with our first egg. And then the second one, we're gonna go ahead and this time we're gonna crack it into the custard cup because I already have an egg in there. So in case, for example, shell did fall in, or if there was a bit of egg, blood in with the egg, you would want to remove it, and you wouldn't want to put them both in there because then both eggs would be going to waste. So with the shell, I do want to point out, if shell does happen to go in, if you take your actual cracked eggshell that you have and dip it into the egg white, it will attach that shell to the remaining egg yolk or eggshell. All right, we're gonna drop that in. Okay, I do have a lot of egg white on my demo table, so I'm gonna quickly wipe that up because we can deal with salmonella when we are dealing with raw eggs. So I am going to wipe that up, and then I'm gonna just take my white hot sponge and wipe across that. And I'll get a different sponge to do my dishes with. Okay, so we're going to crack that into there, and then it says using the wire whisk, right? You are going to beat the eggs until they are slightly foamy and well combined. The thing that I like to do is take the end of the wire whisk and hit the yolks to break them, and then you want to go in a circular motion so that the yolk and the white mixes together. Now, if you are doing this or trying this recipe at home and you don't have a wire whisk, you can also use a fork. It works the same way. You just do the same type of motion. Okay, so the eggs are combined, the yolk and the white, and they are slightly foamy. I'm going to leave that wire whisk and I'm going to set it aside. Okay, number 3 is telling me then to add the powdered sugar, the milk, the maple syrup, brown sugar and cinnamon to the eggs and whisk until well combined. So I'm going to bring those over. So here is my maple syrup, here is my cinnamon, my powdered sugar, and then my milk. Okay, so I am going to start by shaking in the powdered sugar, and I'm going to whisk that first, and then slightly, and then I'm going to add in the milk because the milk is going to help with dissolving the sugar. And then we'll go ahead and pour in our next and the dry ingredient. Before you put the cinnamon and the brown sugar in, mix them up a little bit. You can just use your measuring spoon to do so. That way we're not getting just a big clump of cinnamon. And then last is the maple syrup. And remember, there was also a trick that if you needed to, say, measuring a large amount of maple syrup and you wanted to make sure you got all of it, you could take cooking spray or just shortening on a paper towel or a napkin and grease the inside of the liquid measuring cup and it will slide right out. But the custard cups work pretty well. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put these in my sink so that my wait person can go ahead and start washing the dishes while I am preparing the French toast. Okay, the next thing we're gonna do is number 4. We're gonna stack the bread slices together. We're gonna cut it into thirds. Okay, so I'm going to, and I'm just using white bread. You can use different types, whatever you like. You can trim off your crust, but keeping in mind that that would reduce how much, or how big, I should say, your French toast sticks are. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead, there are some of my, I'm gonna do another 3 slices. And my last 2. Okay, and then all of those are sliced. Okay, I'm gonna kind of separate them because they stick together just a little bit. All right, and then what it says we're gonna do is we're gonna dip the sticks into the egg mixture, shaking off any excess. Okay, so be sure to spray your pan with your cooking spray from cupboard 1, lightly spray, and you're gonna turn your burner to high, and we're gonna do that for 1 to 2 minutes till our pan becomes nice and heated. And then you are going to give your eggs one last mix again. We're going to take each of our bread pieces, shake off any excess, and you hear that sizzle as it goes in to our pan. Again, now the crusts are going to be up to you if you want to leave them on or if you want to take them off. It does add a little bit of a different texture and flavor. It also, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this down now, and I'm gonna turn it down to between our 6 and our 7 as these are going in. And you wanna work kind of quickly so that things are not burning or getting overcooked. And you can use your tongs or your turner to flip. I'm going to go ahead and grab my tongs real quick and flip with my first ones that I put in. You can see we're turning it down. Helps with so that things don't get overcooked. I'm going to move kind of the breads around a little bit. At about 1 to 2 minutes per side, and then flip them. Make sure you don't overcrowd your bread. It's going to take maybe 2 or 3 rounds for your French toast to be finished. Once the other side has cooked completely, you are going to serve them up, and you may top them with syrup or butter or both. And that is the end of French toast sticks.